cold-hearted billionaire sees a beggar girl on the street, then realizes she's his long-lost daughter. Today's story will shatter everything you think you know about family, redemption, and the devastating price of success. Hello, my incredible viewers. I hope you're having an amazing day, wherever you're watching from around the world. Are you cozy at home, taking a break at work, or maybe listening while you're on the go? Drop a comment, and let me know what corner of the world you're tuning in from. I love connecting with all of you. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please hit that subscribe button, because stories like this one will leave you absolutely speechless. The wind knifed down Michigan Avenue, whipping sleet sideways into the faces of anyone stupid enough to be outside. Ethan Shaw didn't flinch. He never did. His charcoal cashmere coat cost more than most people's rent, and the driver idling at the curb in the matte black Maybach knew better than to open the door until Ethan gave the nod. He was 3 strides from escape when a small, filthy hand shot out from the shadows and clamped onto his sleeve. "Please, mister, just $1. The voice cracked like thin ice. Ethan's lip curled. He didn't stop. He never stopped. But the grip tightened, desperate, nails black with grime digging into Italian wool. He looked down. A girl, no more than 12, maybe 13, crouched against the marble facade of his own building. Shaw Tower. 47 stories of glass and steel that screamed his name to the sky. Her hoodie was 3 sizes too big, had swallowed her face, but strands of matted blonde hair whipped across cracked lips. Bare fingers, blue with cold, clutched a dented Starbucks cup that rattled with exactly 2 pennies. Ethan yanked his arm free. "Security," he snapped into the air, knowing the mic in his collar would relay the order. "North entrance. Now!" The girl didn't move. She just stared up at him with eyes the color of winter storms, gray, flecked with gold, and something in them punched the air from his lungs. No. Impossible. He buried that shade of eyes 15 years ago. Then the streetlight caught the chain around her neck. Thin. Tarnished. A silver locket shaped like a teardrop, engraved with a tiny crescent moon. It dangled against her collarbone, half hidden under the hoodie, but the clasp was wrong. Broken. Just like the day he'd torn it from his own wrist in a hospital corridor and hurled it into a trash can lined with biohazard bags. His daughter's locket. The one he'd fastened around her neck the morning she was born. The one that vanished with her. Ethan's heart slammed once hard against his ribs. The world tilted. Sleet hissed against his cheeks, but he felt nothing except the sudden, animal roar in his ears. The girl's lips moved. "You dropped something," she whispered, and held out a trembling hand. In her palm, a brass button. His button. From the coat he was wearing. It must have snagged when she grabbed him. Security boots pounded closer. 2 guards in black parkas rounding the corner. Ethan didn't think. He crouched fast, coat pooling in the slush, and closed her fingers over the button. His voice came out raw. "What's your name?" She blinked. Sleet clung to her lashes. "Doesn't matter. You won't remember. Try me." A ghost of a smile, sad, ancient, wrong on a child's face. "Lila." The name detonated inside him like a landmine. Lila Shaw. The name on a birth certificate he'd burned. The name on a missing persons report he'd paid to disappear. The name he'd forbidden anyone to speak in his presence for 15 years. The guards reached them. Mr. Shaw stepped back. He surged to his feet, shielding her with his body. "Touch her, and you're unemployed before your next breath." The men froze. Ethan looked down at the girl, at Lila, and saw the locket again, glinting like an accusation. His hand moved without permission, brushing the hood back from her face. The resemblance wasn't subtle. It was a gut punch. His cheekbones. His mother's mouth. And those eyes, God, those eyes, were his own, staring back from a face starved and hollowed by the streets. He couldn't breathe. Behind him, the Maybach's door opened. His driver's voice cautious. "Sir? We're holding up traffic." Ethan didn't answer. He was counting the freckles across her nose. 7, just like the baby photos he'd deleted from every server on Earth. He was cataloging the scar above her left eyebrow. New, jagged, not from the kidnapping. He was calculating how many seconds until the paparazzi drones overhead noticed the richest man in Chicago on his knees in the gutter. Lila tried to shrink back, but there was nowhere to go. I didn't mean to bother you. You look like someone who might." "Who might what?" She swallowed. "Might know what it's like to lose everything." The words sliced deeper than the wind. Ethan's hand closed around the locket, chain cutting into his palm. Real. Warm from her skin. Not a hallucination. Not a sick joke. Security shifted, uncertain. One of them reached for his radio. Ethan stood, pulling Lila up with him. She weighed nothing. Bones and defiance and 15 years of questions he'd never wanted answered. "Get in the car," he said. Her eyes widened. "What? Now?" She hesitated, then nodded once, sharp, like she'd been waiting for this moment her whole life. As they moved toward the Maybach, Ethan's phone buzzed in his pocket. He ignored it. Let the board wait. Let the empire burn. For the first time in 15 years, something mattered more than control. The driver held the door. Lila climbed in, sliding across buttersoft leather like she was afraid to touch it. Ethan followed, slamming the door against the storm. Inside, heat blasted. The partition rose with a whisper. Lila hugged her knees to her chest, locket clutched in white-knuckled fingers. "You gonna call the cops?" "No." "Then what?" Ethan stared at her, at this impossible, filthy, furious miracle, and felt the ice around his heart crack wide open. "Then," he said, voice shaking with a rage and hope he didn't know he still possessed, "we find out who the hell kept you from me for 15 years, and we bury them." The car pulled away from the curb. Behind them, Shaw Tower's lights blurred into streaks of gold against the sleet. Lila turned to the window, breath fogging the glass. "You won't like what you find," she murmured. Ethan's hand found hers, small, freezing real. "Try me." "Hey, beautiful souls. Yes, you, the one clutching your phone at 2 a.m., heart racing already. Where are you watching from tonight? Drop your city in the comments. I'm dying to know who's riding this roller coaster with me. How are you holding up? If you're not subscribed yet, smash that button now so you don't miss what happens when Ethan Shaw's frozen world shatters wide open. Trust me, you'll need the next part the second it drops. The Maybach glided through Chicago's underbelly, tires hissing over wet asphalt like secrets slipping through fingers. Streetlights strobed across the tinted windows, painting Lila's face in flashes of gold and shadow. She sat rigid, knees drawn up, arms locked around them as if the leather seat might swallow her whole. Ethan couldn't stop staring. Every breath she took felt like a debt he'd never repaid. Every blink, a reminder of the years he'd spent pretending she didn't exist. He wanted to speak, God, he wanted to demand answers, but the words jammed behind his teeth. Instead, he reached for the crystal decanter in the center console. His hand shook. Scotch sloshed over the rim. Lila's eyes tracked the spill. "Fancy," she said, voice flat. "Bet that costs more than my shoes." He followed her gaze. Her sneakers, once white, now gray with holes, were held together by duct tape and prayer. One toe poked through like a prisoner begging for freedom. Ethan set the glass down untouched. "Take them off." "What?" "Your shoes." "Take them off." She hesitated, then kicked them free. The stench hit him. Sour, metallic, the smell of infection. Her socks were more whole than fabric. The big toe on her left foot was swollen purple, nails split down the middle. He swallowed bile. "When's the last time you ate?" Lila shrugged. "Yesterday." "Maybe." There was half a burrito in a dumpster behind Taco Bell. Wasn't bad. The car lurched as the driver braked for a red light. Ethan's fist slammed the intercom. "Change of plans. Home. Now." "Sir, you have the Nakamura meeting." "Cancel it." The petition stayed up. Smart man. Lila's fingers worried the locket, twisting the chain until it bit into her skin. "You're not taking me to the cops, right? 'Cause they'll just dump me back in foster hell, and I'm done with that." "No cops." Ethan's voice was steel. "You're coming home." She barked a laugh, sharp, bitter, too old for her face. "Home. Cute. Never had one of those." The car turned onto Lakeshore Drive, the city's skyline shrinking in the rearview. Ethan's penthouse occupied the top 4 floors of a building he'd bought just to piss off the previous owner. 7,500 square feet of marble, glass, and silence. He hadn't slept there in weeks. Lila pressed her forehead to the window. "You live in a castle?" "Something like that." "Figures." Silence stretched, thick with unspoken wars. Ethan studied her profile, the stubborn set of her jaw, the way she bit her bottom lip when nervous. Traits he recognized because they were his. Nature's cruel joke. He cleared his throat. "The locket. Where'd you get it?" Her hand flew to her throat, protective. "Found it." "Bullshit." Lila's eyes flashed. "You want to play 20 questions, rich man? Fine. But I get to ask too." She turned to face him fully, knees dropping to the seat. "Why'd you let them take me?" The question detonated between them. Ethan's vision tunneled. He saw the hospital room again, beeping machines, his wife's blood on the sheets, the nurse's face when she said, We can't find the baby. He saw himself signing the papers that declared Lila Shaw legally dead. He saw the bottle of Macallan he'd finished alone that night. I didn't let anyone take you, he said finally. I thought you were gone. Gone where? Dead. The words scraped his throat raw. They told me you died. Complications. Your mother, he stopped. Couldn't say it. Not yet. Lila's face went very still. My mother's alive. Ethan's blood turned to ice. What? Blonde. Tall. Smells like cigarettes and cheap perfume. Calls herself Mama J. Runs a crew of kids out of a basement on the south side. She's the one who gave me this. Lila tapped the locket. Said it was from my real dad. Said he was a monster who didn't want me. Ethan's hands clenched into fists. The leather creaked. Describe her. Scar over her left eyebrow. Tattoo of a rose on her neck. Laughs like a hyena when she's high. Lila's voice cracked. She sold me for a week to some trucker when I was 9. Said I was earning my keep. The world went red. Ethan saw himself wrapping his hands around this woman's throat, squeezing until... The car stopped. They'd arrived. The driver opened the door. Cold air rushed in, carrying the scent of lake water and exhaust. Ethan stepped out first, then turned to offer Lila his hand. She ignored it, climbing out on her own. Her bare feet hit the heated pavement of the private garage, and she hissed. Christ. Ethan scooped her up without thinking. She weighed less than his gym bag. Hey, she kicked, but weakly. Put me down, you caveman. Language, he muttered, striding toward the elevator. His security team materialized from the shadows, 4 ex-Marines in tailored suits. They took one look at the girl in his arms and reached for their sidearms. Stand down, Ethan barked. She's with me. The tallest guard, Ramirez X Delta, raised an eyebrow. Sir, protocol. New protocol. She's family. Ramirez's gaze flicked to Lila, then back to Ethan. Something like understanding passed between them. The guards fell into formation, clearing the path. The elevator doors slid open. Inside, it was all mirrors and gold veins. Lila stared at her reflection. Filthy, wild-eyed, cradled in the arms of a man who looked like he'd stepped off a Forbes cover. She touched the glass. This some kind of joke, she whispered. No joke. Ethan's reflection stared back, haunted. This is your life now. The penthouse doors parted with a sigh. Motion sensors bathed the space in warm light. Floor-to-ceiling windows framed the city like a painting. White marble stretched endlessly. A grand piano no one played. A kitchen island bigger than most apartments. Lila wiggled free, landing cat-soft on the heated floors. She spun slowly, taking it in. Holy crap. You could fit my entire block in here. Ethan shrugged out of his coat, tossing it over a chair. Guest rooms down the hall. Bathrooms stocked. I'll have clothes brought up. She froze. Guest room? You're not sleeping in a dumpster tonight. Lila's chin lifted. And tomorrow? Tomorrow we get answers. He moved to the bar, pouring 2 glasses of water. His hands still shook. But first you eat. He hit a button on the wall. A panel slid open, revealing a touch screen. Consuela? Emergency protocol. Child. Female. Age 12 to 14. Full spread. Now. A voice crackled back, warm, accented. See, Mr. Shaw. 10 minutes. Lila wandered to the windows, pressing her palms to the glass. 38 stories up, the city sprawled like a circuit board. You can see everything from here. Everything except what matters, Ethan said quietly. She turned. What's that supposed to mean? He handed her the water. Their fingers brushed, hers ice cold, his burning. It means I spent 15 years building this. He gestured at the opulence. And I still lost the only thing that ever mattered. Lila sipped, eyes never leaving his. You talking about me? I'm talking about the hole you left. His voice cracked. He cleared his throat. I stopped looking after they found a body. Small. Blonde. Burned beyond recognition. DNA said it was you. Her glass trembled. Whose body was it? I don't know. But someone wanted me to stop asking questions. Someone with money. Power. He met her gaze. Someone who's about to regret it. The elevator chimed. Consuela bustled in, a grandmotherly woman with steel in her spine, pushing a cart loaded with food. Roasted chicken. Mashed potatoes. Steamed broccoli. A chocolate cake the size of a tire. Lila's stomach growled so loud it echoed. Eat, Ethan said. She didn't need to be told twice. She attacked the chicken like a starving wolf, grease shining on her chin. Consuela watched with soft eyes, then quietly laid out pajamas, soft flannel, size small, on the couch. Ethan stood back, arms crossed, memorizing every detail. The way Lila licked her fingers. The way she kept one hand on the locket even while eating. The way she glanced at him every few seconds, like she expected him to vanish. When she finished, her belly visibly swollen under the oversized hoodie, she wiped her mouth with the back of her hand. Okay, your turn. My turn. Questions. She climbed onto a bar stool, swinging her legs. You said no cops. Why? Ethan poured himself that scotch finally. Because the people who took you? They're not street trash. They're connected. Politicians. Cops. Judges. I start poking, they'll bury us both. Lila's eyes narrowed. So what's the plan, Daddy Warbucks? The nickname hit like a slap. He welcomed the sting. Plan is we stay alive long enough to burn them down. But first, he knelt in front of her eye level. First, I need to know everything. Every foster home. Every scar. Every name Mama J ever mentioned. No secrets. She searched his face. You'll hate me. Try me. Lila took a shaky breath. Okay, but you asked for it. She started talking. And Ethan Shaw, the man who'd once closed $1 billion deal without blinking, felt his world crack open all over again. The penthouse lights dimmed to a soft amber glow as midnight bled into the early hours. Lila's voice had gone hoarse 2 stories ago, but she kept talking, each word a scalpel carving open 15 years of rot. Ethan sat opposite her on the leather sectional, elbows on knees, scotch forgotten. The city beyond the glass had gone quiet, but inside a storm raged. And then Mama J said if I didn't bring in $200 a day, she'd sell my kidneys to some guy in Gary. Lila picked at a scab on her knuckle. I believed her. She showed me pictures. Ethan's jaw flexed. He'd already memorized the names she'd dropped. 3 foster fathers, 2 caseworkers, 1 detective who'd taken cash to look the other way. He'd have their throats by sunrise. Lila yawned, eyelids drooping. There's more, but I'm... A low chime cut her off. Not the elevator. Not the intercom. A different tone, sharp, urgent, coming from the wall panel by the door. Ethan was on his feet in an instant. Consuela. The housekeeper appeared from the hallway, wringing her hands. Senor, it's the secure line. Red protocol. Red meant board-level emergency. Or worse. Ethan crossed to the panel, punched in a code. A hollow screen flickered to life, projecting the grim face of Ramirez, his head of security. Mr. Shaw. Ramirez's voice was gravel. We've got a situation. Lobby's compromised. Ethan's blood turned to sludge. Define compromised. 2 unmarked vans. No plates. 6 men in tactical gear. They took out the night desk with tranq darts. They're in the service elevator. ETA to penthouse for minutes. Lila's eyes went saucer-wide. They found me. Ethan killed the feed. Consuela, safe room. Now. The housekeeper grabbed Lila's hand, but the girl yanked free. I'm not hiding. You are if I say you are. Ethan's tone left no room for argument. He hit another button. Steel shutters slammed down over every window, sealing them in a tomb of luxury. Lights shifted to red emergency strips. He opened a concealed drawer, pulled out a Glock 19, checked the mag Ramirez, divert them to the service corridor. By me 90 seconds. Copy. Lila backed toward the kitchen island, locket clutched like a talisman. Who are they? People who don't like loose ends. Ethan grabbed her wrist, pulling her toward the hallway. Move. They reached the safe room, a fortress disguised as a walk-in closet. Consuela was already inside, punching codes into a secondary panel. The door hissed open, revealing a steel box with monitors, a cot, and enough supplies for a month. Ethan shoved Lila in. Lock it from the inside. Do not open for anyone but me. She grabbed his sleeve. You're not leaving me. I'm ending this. He pried her fingers free, kissed her forehead once, hard, desperate, then slammed the door. The locks engaged with a finality that echoed in his bones. The penthouse plunged into silence. Ethan moved like a predator, Glock low, bare feet silent on marble. He killed the lights, letting the red strips guide him. The service elevator dinged soft, almost polite. Showtime. He slipped into the shadows of the grand staircase, counting heartbeats. 1, 2. The front door exploded inward. Flashbangs rolled across the floor, hissing white. Ethan squeezed his eyes shut, ears ringing. When he opened them, 6 figures in black tactical gear fanned out, rifles up, lasers cutting crimson lines through the smoke. Clear left. Clear right. Targets the girl. Lethal force authorized. Ethan's lip curled. Over my dead body. He fired twice, center mass on the lead man. The suppressor coughed. The figure dropped like a sack of bricks. Chaos erupted. Muzzle flashes lit the dark. Bullets chewed into marble, showering Ethan with dust. He rolled behind the kitchen island, returned fire. Another intruder went down, clutching his thigh. Flank him, someone shouted. Ethan popped up, squeezed off 3 rounds. A third man spun, helmet cracking against the piano. The ivory keys sang a discordant note. 3 down. 3 to go. He vaulted the island, sprinting for the hallway. A burst of automatic fire shredded the wallpaper behind him. He dove, shoulder hitting the floor hard, and came up firing. The fourth man took it in the neck, arterial spray painting the ceiling. 2 left. They were smarter. They split, one heading for the safe room, the other laying down suppressing fire. Ethan's clip clicked empty. He ejected it, slapped in a fresh one. The one at the safe room raised a breaching charge. Ethan's vision went tunnel. He charged, roaring, tackling the man like a linebacker. They crashed into the wall, plaster crumbling. The charge clattered away. Ethan drove his elbow into the man's throat, once, twice. Cartilage crunched. The intruder went limp. Last man standing. Ethan spun, Glock raised. The final intruder had Lila's locket in his gloved hand, ripped from the safe room door somehow. He held it up, taunting. Looking for this, Shaw? The voice. Ethan knew that voice. Smooth, cultured, with a hint of South Side grit. He stepped into the red light, face obscured by a balaclava, but the eyes, cold dead, were unmistakable. Detective Harlan, Ethan snarled. Should have known you'd crawl out of whatever rock you've been hiding under. Harlan chuckled. You always were a slow learner. The girl's a liability. Always was. Ethan's finger tightened on the trigger. You took her. I delivered her. Big difference. Harlan dangled the locket. Mama J was just the middleman. The real buyer? Let's just say they pay better than your board of directors. Ethan's mind raced. Buyer. Not kidnapper. Someone wanted Lila alive. For what? Harlan's radio crackled. Extraction in 60. Package secured. Negative, Harlan replied. But I've got leverage. He pulled a detonator from his vest. C4 in the safe room. You want the kid breathing, you drop the gun. Ethan's stomach plummeted. The safe room was reinforced, but not against a shaped charge. Lila would be paced. He lowered the Glock. Harlan smiled. Smart. Ethan's mind screamed for options. The detonator's range was short, 20 feet max. If he could close the distance. Harlan backed toward the shattered front door. Tell you what, you want her alive? Meet me at the old steelworks. Midnight tomorrow. Come alone. Or I mail you her fingers, one by one. He tossed the locket. It arced through the air, landing at Ethan's feet with a clink. Then he was gone, melting into the smoke and shadows. Ethan didn't chase. He sprinted to the safe room, punched in the override. The door hissed open. Lila sat on the cot, knees to chest, eyes huge. You're bleeding. He looked down, shallow graze on his forearm. Adrenaline had masked the pain. I'm fine. She launched into his arms, burying her face in his shirt. I heard guns. I thought. Shoo. He held her tight, feeling her tremble. They're gone. For now. Consuela appeared, pale but steady, holding a first aid kit. Ethan waved her off. There were bigger wounds to tend. He picked up the locket, chain broken but intact. The crescent moon glinted mockingly. Lila's voice was small. He said my fingers. He's not getting near you again. Ethan's tone was lethal. But we're not safe here. Not anymore. She pulled back, searching his face. What do we do? Ethan's phone buzzed, Ramirez. Sir, lobby's secure. Police en route. You need extraction? Negative. We're going dark. He killed the call, then looked at Lila. Ever been to a safe house? She shook her head. Good. Pack nothing. We leave in 5. As Consuela bustled to grab go bags, Ethan knelt, eye level with his daughter. Listen to me. From now on, you don't leave my sight. You don't trust anyone but me. Understand? Lila nodded, but her eyes, those storm-gray eyes, held a new fire. I'm not a kid anymore. No, he said softly. You're a Shaw. And Shaws don't run. We hunt. He clipped the locket around her neck, the broken chain knotted tight. A promise. The penthouse lights flickered once, then died as the building's backup generators kicked in. In the darkness, father and daughter moved as one toward the service exit. Behind them, the city burned with sirens. Ahead, a war waited. The safe house crouched on the edge of an abandoned rail yard in Gary, Indiana, a concrete box once used by union bosses to hide cash during strikes. Ethan had bought it under a Shell Corp in '09, then forgot it existed. Tonight it smelled of rust, diesel, and the ghost of cheap cigars. He killed the headlights 2 blocks out, rolled the stolen Tahoe to a stop behind a stack of rusted shipping containers. Lila was asleep in the passenger seat, head tipped against the window, locket rising and falling with each breath. The knot he'd tied in the chain had held. Ethan watched her for a long minute. The bruise on her cheek from the safe room door had darkened to plum. A smaller cut above her eyebrow had crusted over. She looked breakable. She wasn't. He nudged her shoulder. Up. Lila came awake instantly. No groggy transition, just predator alertness. We there. Close enough. He handed her a black knit cap. Hair up. Hood on. No reflections. She obeyed without question. Good. They slipped out into the night. Wind off Lake Michigan carried the bite of winter and the tang of steel dust. Ethan's boots crunched on broken glass. Lila's borrowed sneakers, Consuela had grabbed them from a staff locker, were silent. They moved like shadows between the containers until the safe house loomed. 2 stories, graffiti-tagged, windows boarded with plywood spray-painted to look like bricked-up openings. Ethan keyed a sequence into a rusted electrical box. A hidden panel slid aside, revealing a retinal scanner. Green light. The side door unlocked with a pneumatic hiss. Inside, motion sensors bathed the space in cold white. Steel walls. No furniture except a metal table bolted to the floor and 2 cots. A bank of monitors flickered to life, cycling through exterior feeds. No movement. Yet. Lila peeled off the cap, blonde hair tumbling free. Feels like a tomb. Tombs are safe. Ethan locked the door, engaged 3 deadbolts, then a magnetic seal. Strip. She arched a brow. Excuse me? Weapons check. You're carrying. Lila rolled her eyes, but lifted her hoodie. Taped to her ribs. A switchblade with a cracked pearl handle. She peeled it free, flipped it open. 4 inches of carbon steel, nicked but sharp. Souvenir from Mama J's boyfriend. Said every girl needs protection. Ethan took it, tested the balance. You know how to use this? Stab, twist, run. She shrugged. Works on drunks. He handed it back hilt first. Keep it. But if you pull it on me, I'll take it away and spank you. Try it, old man. The grin was quick, gone just as fast. What now? Now we wait for daylight, and I make calls that can't be traced. He pointed to the cots. Sleep. I'll take first watch. Lila didn't argue. She curled onto the nearest cot fully clothed, knife under the pillow, and was out in seconds. Ethan covered her with a thermal blanket, then turned to the monitors. His reflection stared back, blood on his collar, eyes hollow. He looked like a man who'd aged a decade in 6 hours. He opened an encrypted laptop, fingers flying. First order. Freeze every account tied to Detective Harlan. Second. Pull satellite archives for the Steelworks address. Third. Ping an old contact who owed him a life debt. The reply came in under a minute. Rico, encrypted * Steelworks is a shell. Owned by Meridian Trust. Offshore. You sure you want to kick this hive? *. Ethan typed. * they took my daughter. Kick it *. Rico, * copy. Sending cleaner crew to penthouse. Evidence will vanish. You need wheels. *. Ethan glanced at Lila. Need a war. Rico, * on it. Check drop box at 0600, *. Ethan killed the connection, then opened a second program. Facial recognition tied to city cams. He fed in Harlan's photo from an old precinct yearbook. The software chewed for 30 seconds, then spat out a hit. 11:47 p.m., a black Suburban leaving Shaw Tower's underground garage. Plates cloned from a city snowplow. He was tracing the route when Lila mumbled in her sleep. No, don't. Ethan crossed the room in 2 strides, crouched beside her cot. Sweat beaded on her forehead. She thrashed, knife hand twitching. Lila. He kept his voice low. Wake up. Her eyes snapped open, wild. The blade flashed toward his throat, instinct. He caught her wrist, pinned it gently. It's me. She blinked, focus returning. The knife clattered to the floor. Sorry. Don't be. He released her. Nightmare. Memory. She sat up, hugging her knees. The night they took me. I was 3. Hospital rooms smelled like bleach and flowers. Someone put a hand over my mouth. I bit them. They hit me so hard I peed myself. Ethan's vision went red again. He forced it down. Who? Don't know. Mask. Gloved. But the voice, she shivered. Same as the guy tonight. Harlan. Ethan filed it away. You're safe now. Lila snorted. Safe as a fairy tale. He couldn't argue. Dawn leaked gray through the boarded windows. Ethan brewed coffee from a stash of MREs, bitter but hot. Lila drank hers black, grimacing. First stop, he said. We get you clothes that fit. Then we hit the steelworks early. Recon only. She nodded, but her eyes were on the monitors. One feed showed movement, a stray dog nosing through trash. Another caught a flicker of headlights 2 miles out. Ethan zoomed in. Black Suburban. Same plates. Company, he muttered. Lila was already lacing her sneakers. How many? 4 heat signatures. Armed. She grabbed the switchblade. We running or fighting? Neither. Ethan opened a floor panel, revealing an arms cache, AR-15, shotgun, flashbangs, body armor. He tossed her a Kevlar vest 2 sizes too big. We set the welcome mat. They worked fast. Trip wires across the only entrance. Claymores in the hallway, pressure plates disguised as loose tiles. Ethan rigged the lights to strobe on command. Lila watched, learning, mimicking his movements with eerie precision. You've done this before, she said. Once or twice. He didn't mention Fallujah. Or the cartel warehouse in Juarez. By the time the Suburban rolled to a stop outside, the safe house was a kill box. Ethan killed the exterior lights. Darkness swallowed them. Lila crouched behind the metal table, AR across her lap like she'd been born to it. They'll breach the door. Let them. Ethan's voice was ice. On my mark. The first explosion took out the front lock. Smoke poured in. 4 figures in night vision goggles stormed the hallway. Single file textbook. Ethan hit the strobe. White light pulsed seizure fast. The claymores detonated in sequence, boom boom boom. Screams. Body parts painted the walls. Silence followed, thick and surreal. Lila's voice floated through the haze. Think that's all of them? Doubt it. Ethan stepped over a twitching corpse, Glock raised. The leader was still alive, pinned under a beam, mask half melted to his face. Blood bubbled from his lips. Ethan knelt. Who sent you? The man coughed crimson. Meridian, won't stop, girl's the key. To what? A wet laugh. Ask your wife. Ethan's finger tightened on the trigger. My wife's dead. Funny. The man's eyes rolled back. So's the girl. He died with a grin. Ethan stared at the body, mind racing. Wife. Dead. Girl. Key. None of it computed. Lila appeared beside him, face pale but steady. We gotta move. More will come. He nodded, but his gaze snagged on the dead man's wrist. A tattoo, crescent moon inside a circle. Same symbol engraved on Lila's locket. She saw it too. That's not a coincidence. No, Ethan said. It's a brand. They stripped the bodies for intel, burner phones, encrypted radios, a flash drive labeled L-15. Ethan pocketed everything. Outside, sirens wailed in the distance. Time to ghost. They slipped out a side hatch into the rail yard. Dawn painted the sky bruise purple. Ethan hot-wired a rusted pickup from a weed-choked lot, tossed Lila in the passenger seat. As they peeled out, gravel spitting, she asked the question he'd been dreading. Who's Meridian Trust? Ethan's knuckles went white on the wheel. A ghost story. Black-budget medical research. Rumored to fund orphanages in Eastern Europe. Experiment on kids with special DNA. Lila went very still. You think that's what they wanted? Me. I think someone paid a fortune to make you disappear. And now they want you back. She touched the locket. Because of this? Or because of what's inside it? She frowned. It's just a picture. Me as a baby. Ethan's pulse skipped. Show me. Lila pried open the locket with trembling fingers. Inside, a tiny photo, yes, newborn Lila in a hospital bassinet. But on the back, etched into the silver, a string of numbers. 47-19-88-02. Coordinates? Code. DNA sequence? Ethan memorized it. We need a lab. Someone I trust. Lila closed the locket. You have a lab guy? I have a widow who owes me her husband's life. He floored the gas. Buckle up. They hit the interstate doing 90, wind screaming through the cracked window. Behind them, black smoke rose from the safe house like a signal fire. Lila leaned her head against the glass. Dad. First time she'd said it. The word hit harder than any bullet. Yeah, I'm scared. He reached over, squeezed her knee. Good. Means you're still human. She managed a shaky laugh. What happens when we stop running? Ethan's eyes flicked to the rear view. No tails. Yet. Then we start hunting. The pickup roared into the rising sun, father and daughter bound by blood and secrets sharper than steel. The lab squatted on the edge of an industrial park in Joliet, a brutalist concrete slab with no signage and a single steel door. Dr. Evelyn Grant met them at 3:17 a.m., barefoot in a lab coat over silk pajamas, gray hair twisted into a knot. She took one look at Lila, and her eyes filled with tears she didn't bother to hide. Jesus, Ethan. She's the spitting image of Elena at that age. Ethan's throat closed. He hadn't heard his wife's name spoken aloud in 15 years. Evelyn ushered them inside, past humming servers and refrigerated cabinets full of vials. The air smelled of ozone and bleach. She locked the door behind them, engaged a biometric deadbolt, then turned to Lila. Hi, sweetheart. I'm Evie. I knew your mom when she was pregnant with you. I delivered you, actually. Lila's eyes widened. You're a doctor? Was. Now I just keep ghosts alive. Evelyn's gaze flicked to Ethan. Ghosts like Project Meridian. Ethan set the flash drive on the steel counter. We pulled this off a corpse. Need everything. Evelyn plugged it into an air-gapped terminal. Lines of code scrolled. Her face went ashen. Ethan, this is a genome map. Human. Female. Born March 12, 2010. She swallowed. It's Lila. Lila stepped closer, peering at the screen. That's me? More than that. Evelyn zoomed in. Your DNA has synthetic markers. CRISPR edits. Someone engineered you in utero. Ethan felt the floor tilt. For what? Evelyn's fingers flew across the keyboard. A 3D helix rotated, glowing red at specific loci. Telomere extension. Myostatin inhibition. Enhanced neural plasticity. This isn't a kid, Ethan. This is a prototype. Lila's voice was small. Prototype for what? Evelyn met Ethan's eyes. Immortality. The word hung in the sterile air like a guillotine. Ethan's mind raced back 15 years. Elena's pregnancy had been high risk, experimental treatments at a private clinic in Switzerland. He'd signed the consents without reading them. Too busy closing a merger. Too arrogant to question. He'd funded his daughter's abduction. Evelyn pulled up another file. There's a video. She hit play. A grainy hospital feed. Date stamp, the night Lila vanished. A woman in scrubs wheeled a bassinet down a corridor. The camera glitched. Someone had looped the footage. When it resumed, the bassinet was empty. But the audio caught a voice. Female. Familiar. Package secured. Tell Shaw his wife's complication was convenient. Ethan's blood froze. He knew that voice. He'd heard it in boardrooms, at charity galas, in his own damn bed. Victoria Shaw. His sister-in-law. Elena's twin. Lila grabbed his arm. Dad. He couldn't speak. Victoria had been at the funeral. Weeping prettily. Comforting him. All while her mercenaries spirited his daughter away. Evelyn paused the video. There's more. The locket code, 47-19-88-02. It's a patent number. Filed by Meridian Trust. Method for telomere stabilization using fetal gene therapy. Your daughter's the proof of concept. Lila's hand flew to the locket. They want me back to harvest me? Worse. Evelyn's voice cracked. They need a live sample to scale production. The edits are unstable. Without periodic blood transfusions from the original donor. Me, Lila whispered. The recipients age rapidly. Die horribly. Meridian's been buying orphans for years, trying to replicate you. None survived. Ethan's fists clenched so hard his nails drew blood. How many? 17 confirmed. Probably more. Lila backed away until her spine hit a cabinet. Glass vials rattled. I'm a walking organ farm. No, Ethan's voice was lethal. You're my daughter. He turned to Evelyn. Can you reverse it? She hesitated. Maybe. If we had the original CRISPR vectors. But they're locked in a level 5 facility in Zurich, Ethan finished. The same clinic. Evelyn nodded. Meridian's European HQ. Security's Fort Knox with a side of Blackwater. Lila's eyes blazed. Then we break in. Ethan almost smiled. That's my girl. But Evelyn wasn't done. She opened a drawer, pulled out a yellowed envelope. Elena left this. Said to give it to you if you ever found her. Ethan's hands shook as he opened it. Inside, a single photograph. Elena in the hospital bed, cradling newborn Lila. On the back, in Elena's handwriting. Asterisk if they come for her, trust no one. Not even family. The key is in her blood. Protect her with your life. I love you both. E asterisk. Below that, a second line in different ink, fresh, hurried. Asterisk Victoria sold us. She's not my sister. She's their broker. Asterisk. Ethan's roar echoed off the concrete. He punched the wall, knuckles splitting. Blood smeared the photo. Lila touched his arm. Dad. Look. She held the locket under a UV lamp. The crescent moon glowed, revealing a micro-etched QR code. Evelyn scanned it. A new file opened. Architectural blueprints. Zurich facility. Sublevel 7. Vault labeled L15. Lila's voice was steady now. That's me. L15. They've got a room waiting. Ethan stared at the screen. Every corridor, every guard post, every retinal scanner. A suicide mission. He looked at Lila, at the fire in her eyes, the set of her jaw. His daughter. His weapon. We're not breaking in, he said. We're burning it down. Evelyn handed him a syringe. Clear liquid. Insurance. If they catch you, this'll fry the edits. Make her useless to them. Lila took it without flinching. Let's hope it doesn't come to that. Ethan pocketed the photo, the blueprints, the rage. Pack what we need. We leave at dusk. As Evelyn loaded a duffel with lab gear, portable sequencer, EMP grenades, fake IDs, Lila pulled Ethan aside. There's something else, she whispered. In the safe house. One of the dead guys, he called me princess. Said I was coming home. Ethan's stomach twisted. To where? She met his eyes. To Mom. The lab lights flickered. Somewhere outside, a helicopter thumped overhead, search pattern. Ethan grabbed Lila's hand. Time to go. They slipped out a side exit into the pre-dawn gloom. The pickup waited, engine cold. Evelyn pressed a flash drive into Ethan's palm. Everything's on here. If you don't make it, get this to the press. Blow Meridian wide open. Ethan nodded. You're coming with us. Can't. My face is on their watch list. I'll slow you down. She hugged Lila tight. You're stronger than they know, kid. Both of you. Lila clung for a second, then let go. Thanks, document. They piled into the truck. Ethan floored it, tires screaming. In the rear view, Evelyn stood in the doorway, a lone figure against the rising sun. Lila clutched the syringe like a grenade. Zurich's what, 10 hours by private jet? 8 if we push it. Ethan's phone buzzed. Unknown number. He answered on speaker. Victoria's voice purred through the line. Hello, brother. Enjoying family reunions? Ethan's grip tightened. Where are you? Closer than you think. Bring the girl to the steelworks by noon. Or I start mailing pieces of Dr. Grant to your office. The line went dead. Lila's face went white. She's bluffing. No, Ethan said. She's not. He slammed the brakes, spun the truck in a 180. Gravel flew. Change of plans. We get Evelyn. Then we end this. Lila nodded, loading a fresh mag into the AR. Together. The pickup roared back toward Joliet, dawn bleeding red across the horizon. Father and daughter, bound by blood and betrayal, racing toward a reckoning 15 years in the making. The lab was on fire when they arrived. Flames licked the sky, orange and hungry, turning the pre-dawn dark into hellish daylight. Ethan slammed the brakes 50 yards out, tires skidding on loose gravel. The heat hit them even through the windshield, scorching, acrid, the smell of burning plastic and flesh. Lila's door was open before the truck stopped. Evelyn. Ethan caught her wrist. Wait. A secondary explosion rocked the building. Windows shattered outward in a storm of glass. The concussion wave slammed them back against the seats. Lila fought his grip. She's in there. She's gone. The words tasted like ash. Ethan's eyes scanned the perimeter. 3 black SUVs forming a kill box, floodlights cutting through the smoke. Meridian's cleanup crew. They'd beaten them by minutes. A figure stumbled from the inferno, silhouetted against the flames. Evelyn. Lab coat ablaze, hair a torch. She raised one arm, holding the duffel, then collapsed. Lila screamed. Ethan was moving before he thought, sprinting through the heat. Bullets whined past, kicking up dirt. He dove, rolled, came up beside Evelyn. Her face was a ruin of burns, but her eyes, God, those eyes were lucid. Take it, she rasped, shoving the duffel into his chest. Flash drive inside, go. He tried to lift her. She weighed nothing. I'm not leaving you. Too late. Blood bubbled at her lips. Tell Lila proud of her. Her hand went slack. The duffel slipped. Ethan caught it, saw the flash drive taped to the strap. He pressed 2 fingers to Evelyn's neck. Nothing. Another burst of gunfire. A round grazed his shoulder, hot and wet. He dragged Evelyn's body behind a concrete barrier, laid her down gently. Her eyes stared at the sky, reflecting the flames. Lila was there suddenly, AR raised, firing controlled bursts. "Get in the truck." Ethan ran. They dove inside as bullets stitched the tailgate. He threw it in reverse, floored it. The truck fishtailed, then shot backward down the access road. In the rear view, Meridian operatives advanced on Evelyn's body, rifles lowered. Lila's voice was hollow. "They're taking pictures." Ethan didn't answer. He couldn't. The duffel sat between them like a coffin. They drove in silence for 20 miles, the fire shrinking to a glow in the mirrors. Lila stared at her hands, covered in soot and Evelyn's blood. She started shaking. Not crying, just shaking. Ethan pulled over on a deserted stretch of I-80, killed the engine. The silence was worse. He opened the duffel. Inside, the portable sequencer, EMP grenades, fake passports. And a single post-it stuck to the flash drive. Asterisk if I'm dead, Victoria has the kill switch. Sublevel 7. Don't trust the jet. E asterisk. Lila read it over his shoulder. Kill switch. Means if we don't deliver you by noon, she triggers something. Maybe a dead man's switch on the Zurich vault. Maybe worse. Lila's laugh was broken. So we're screwed either way. Ethan stared at the horizon. Dawn was fully broken now, the sky a bruised purple. No. We're cornered. Different thing. He opened the glove box, pulled out a satellite phone. 1 number programmed. He dialed. A woman answered, voice like smoke. You're late, Shaw. Victoria. Lila went rigid. Victoria's tone was silk over razors. Noon. Steelworks. You and the girl. Alone. Or I detonate the charges under every children's hospital in the Midwest. I've got the codes. You know I do. Ethan's blood turned to ice. You're bluffing. Am I? Check your email. He did on the sat phone. A video file. Grainy security cam. A basement, pipes labeled with hospital names. C4 bricks wired to timers. 11:57. 11:56. Lila's breath hitched. She's not bluffing. Ethan closed the phone. We go to the steelworks. Lila's eyes were wild. It's a trap. It's a choice. Her trap or 1,000 dead kids. She punched the dashboard, knuckles splitting. I hate her. Get in line. They drove. The steelworks loomed on the horizon like a skeleton, smokestacks clawing at the sky. Ethan parked a mile out, behind a derelict warehouse. They geared up in silence, Kevlar, weapons, the syringe taped to Lila's thigh. She checked the AR's mag. If we die, we won't. Tell me one truth. Something real. Ethan met her eyes. Your mother sang to you every night. You are my sunshine. Even when the machines were beeping. Even when she was dying. Lila's lip trembled. She nodded once. They moved on foot, cutting through weeds and rusted machinery. The steelworks main gate hung open, a mouth waiting to swallow them. No guards visible. Too easy. Inside, the air was thick with decay, pigeon shit, oil, the copper tang of old blood. Sunlight slanted through broken skylights, dust motes dancing like ghosts. Victoria waited in the central furnace room, a cathedral of iron and shadow. She stood on a catwalk 30 feet up, flanked by 6 mercenaries in Meridian tactical gear. A tablet glowed in her hand. Ethan. Lila. So good to see family reunited. Lila's grip tightened on the AR. Where's the kill switch? Victoria smiled. Patience, darling. Ethan stepped forward, hands raised. Let the girl go. Take me. Victoria laughed. Oh, sweet brother. You're collateral. She's the prize. She gestured, and a steel cage descended from the rafters, empty, waiting. Step inside, Lila. Or I press the button. Lila glanced at Ethan. He gave the tiniest shake of his head. Victoria sighed. Fine. Motivation. She tapped the tablet. Somewhere far away, an explosion. Then another. The ground trembled. Lila's face crumpled. You bitch. Language, Victoria chided. Noon's in 8 minutes. Tick-tock. Ethan's mind raced. The cage was on a hydraulic lift, chain-driven. If he could sever the chain. He edged left, casual. You want her alive. Why the bombs? Insurance. You Shaws are stubborn. Victoria's eyes flicked to the mercenaries. Take him. 2 mercs advanced. Ethan moved like lightning, drew the Glock, double-tapped. Both dropped. Chaos erupted. Lila opened fire, AR barking. Bullets sparked off iron. Victoria ducked behind a control panel. Ethan sprinted for the catwalk ladder, climbing hand over hand. A merc swung a rifle, but he dodged, drove his elbow into the man's throat. The body fell 30 feet with a wet crunch. Lila was a whirlwind below, switching to the switchblade when the AR clicked empty. She gutted one merc, used his body as a shield against another. Ethan reached the catwalk. Victoria was waiting, a pistol to his forehead. "Hello, brother." He froze. She smiled. "You always were predictable." Below, Lila screamed as the cage slammed shut around her. The hydraulics whirred, lifting her toward the furnace mouth, red hot even now. Victoria's finger hovered over the tablet. One press. She burns. Or you both walk away with me. Your choice. Ethan's eyes darted. The chain. Thick but old. He had one EMP grenade left. He lunged. Victoria fired. The bullet grazed his temple, blood in his eye. He tackled her, drove her back against the railing. The tablet flew, clattering below. Lila's cage was 10 feet from the furnace. Heat shimmered. Ethan wrapped the chain around Victoria's throat, used it as leverage. "Drop the remote," she choked, clawing at his arms. "Never." He tightened. Her face purpled. Below, Lila kicked at the cage bars. "Dad!" The remote lay near her cage, just out of reach. One merc left, he raised his rifle. Ethan made the choice. He released Victoria, grabbed the EMP grenade, pulled the pin, and hurled it down. It bounced, rolled, stopped under the cage. The pulse hit. Every electronic within 50 feet died. The cage's hydraulics seized. It hung, swaying, 5 feet from the furnace. But the tablet sparked. The kill switch engaged. Victoria laughed through bloodied teeth. Too late. Ethan dove for the ladder, slid down fireman style. He landed hard, rolled, snatched the syringe from Lila's thigh through the bars. "What are you?" "Insurance." He jammed it into her neck, depressed the plunger. Lila gasped. Her eyes rolled back. She slumped. Victoria staggered to the railing. "You killed her." "You idiot." Ethan looked up, eyes dead. "No. I freed her." He grabbed the remote, smashed it under his boot. Then he drew the Glock, put 2 rounds in Victoria's chest. She toppled over the railing, landed with a sickening crunch. The last merc charged. Ethan met him halfway, drove the switchblade, Lila's blade, up under the chin. The body dropped. Silence. The furnace roared. The cage creaked. Ethan climbed the dangling chain, muscles screaming. He reached the cage, pried the bars with blood-slick hands. Lila was limp, pulse thready. He carried her down, laid her on the cold concrete. Her skin was clammy, lips blue. The syringe had fried the edits, maybe her too. "Lila." He slapped her cheeks. "Stay with me." Her eyes fluttered. "Cold." He wrapped her in his jacket, rocked her like a baby. "I've got you." Sirens wailed outside. Real ones this time. FBI? Meridian? Didn't matter. Ethan looked at the furnace, at Victoria's broken body, at the daughter he'd failed for 15 years. Hopelessness crashed over him like a wave. He was out of moves. The furnace room stank of scorched metal and death. Ethan cradled Lila on the concrete, her pulse fluttering like a trapped moth against his thumb. The syringe's poison, Evelyn's last gift, had done its job. The Meridian edits were collapsing, but so was Lila's life. Her skin was ice, lips gray, the locket cold against his wrist. He pressed his forehead to hers. "Stay, baby. Just stay." Boots pounded in the outer corridor. Too many, too fast. FBI raid or Meridian kill team, he couldn't tell. Either way, they were out of time. Ethan scooped Lila up, her head lolling against his shoulder, and ran. Not toward the main exit. Toward the service tunnels he'd memorized from the blueprints. A rusted hatch in the floor, half hidden under slag. He kicked it open, descended a ladder slick with condensation. The air below was damp, rank with mold and rat shit, but it was dark and it was theirs. He hit the tunnel floor running. Lila's weight was nothing. Adrenaline made him a machine. Pipes dripped overhead, echoing like gunfire. His phone buzzed, encrypted text from an unknown number. "Rico, East Tunnel exit. Black van. Keys under mat. Move, asterisk asterisk." Ethan didn't question it. He sprinted. The tunnel spat them out into a drainage ditch behind the steelworks. A matte black Sprinter idled exactly where promised, no plates, windows tinted to opacity. Ethan yanked the sliding door unlocked. He laid Lila on a gurney bolted to the floor, strapped her in. Medical gear lined the walls, defibrillator, oxygen for bags. A woman in surgical scrubs knelt beside the gurney, mid-30s, dark hair, eyes sharp as scalpels. "I'm Dr. Patel. Rico sent me. We have maybe 4 minutes before the feds seal the perimeter." Ethan's gun was up before she finished. "Who the hell are you?" "Someone who owes Evelyn Grant her life." Patel didn't flinch. "She called in the favor before the lab burned. Now move or your daughter dies." Ethan lowered the weapon. "What's in her?" "Custom CRISPR scrambler. It's shredding the Meridian edits, but it's also tanking her immune system. We need a clean room and a bone marrow match." "You're it." She was already starting in 4, saline and something glowing faintly blue. Lila's color improved by degrees. Ethan climbed into the back, slammed the door. The van lurched forward, tires spitting gravel. Patel worked fast, blood draw from Ethan, centrifuge spinning, marrow harvest kit prepped. "You're O-negative, universal donor." "Lucky." "Lucky," Ethan echoed, voice hollow. He watched the centrifuge whirl, Lila's life reduced to red and gold layers. The van hit the interstate doing 100. Patel's voice was calm over the engine roar. "There's a clinic in Milwaukee. Off-grid. Run by ex-Meridian whistleblowers. They've got the only sequencer that can rebuild her genome from scratch." Ethan's eyes never left Lila. "How long?" 2 hours if we don't get tailed. Less if we do." The rearview showed flashing lights, 3 miles back, closing fast. Patel floored it. Lila stirred. "Dad, I'm here." He took her hand. "Squeeze once if you can hear me." A weak twitch. Patel tossed him a headset. "Rico's on comms. Patch in." Ethan slipped it on. Static, then Rico's voice, calm, clipped. "Shaw, you've got a drone overhead. Meridian. Armed. They want the girl alive, but they'll settle for the body." Ethan's jaw clenched. "Options. Take the next exit. County Road 9. There's a rail bridge. I've got a maglev freight timed for 4:52. You jump the gap, I'll have a hello on the far side." Ethan checked his watch, 4:49. Patel was already veering onto the exit ramp, tires screaming. The van fishtailed, straightened. The rail bridge loomed, single track, rusted, no guardrails. Behind them, the drone's spotlight sliced through the dark, a white-hot eye. Patel killed the headlights. "Hold on." The van hit the bridge at 90. Wood planks exploded under the tires. The drone fired, missiles streaking red. One detonated behind them, shrapnel pinging the chassis. Lila's monitor screamed. Patel swore, adjusted the 4. The freight train's horn blasted, close, deafening. Headlight blinding. Patel yanked the wheel. The van went airborne. For one endless second, they flew. They landed on the freight car with a bone-jarring crash, roof crumpling. The van slid, caught on a container lip. Ethan kicked the door open, dragged Lila's gurney out. The helo was already descending, black, no markings, rope ladder dangling. Patel shoved the duffel at him. "Go. I'll hold them off." Ethan hesitated. "You'll die." Evelyn did. "Make it mean something." She slapped the van's roof. "Go." Ethan climbed the ladder one-handed. Lila strapped to his chest like a papoose. The helo lifted as the drone's second missile turned the van into a fireball. Patel never screamed. The pilot, a woman with a scar across her throat, banked hard north. "Clinic's 20 minutes. Strap in." Ethan laid Lila on the floor, held the oxygen mask to her face. Her pulse was steadier now, color returning. Rico's voice crackled in his ear. "Meridian's board just went dark. Someone leaked the hospital bomb footage. Victoria's dead, but the machine's still running. You've got a narrow window." Ethan looked at Lila. "Then we cut the head off the snake." The helo flew low over Lake Michigan, dawn gilding the water blood red. Lila's eyes opened, clear, focused. "Dad," she whispered. "I saw Mom." Ethan's heart stuttered. "What?" "In the dark." She said, "Fight with love." Then she kissed my forehead. Lila's fingers found the locket. "I'm not afraid anymore." Ethan kissed her knuckles. "Good. Because we're not done." The clinic was a converted lighthouse on a private island. Ex-Meridian scientists met them on the helipad. White coats, no questions. They wheeled Lila inside on a stretcher. Ethan followed, covered in blood and soot, gun still in his hand. The lead doctor, a woman with kind eyes and a German accent, met him in the corridor. "We can save her, but we need 12 hours uninterrupted. Meridian will come." Ethan handed her the duffel. "Then give me 12 hours. He stepped outside. The helo was refueling. Rico's voice again. "Satellite shows 3 Meridian jets inbound. ETA 40 minutes. Ethan checked his weapons. One mag left. The switchblade. A single EMP grenade. He looked at the lighthouse, Lila's lifeline, then at the sky. Rico, he said. Send everything you've got. I'll hold the door. Static. Then copy that, Shaw. Godspeed. Ethan walked to the water's edge, stood on the rocks as the sun breached the horizon. Waves crashed cold and clean. He thought of Elena singing, of Evelyn burning, of Lila's small hand in his. He smiled, feral-free. Come and get her, he whispered to the wind. Then he turned to face the storm. The first jet screamed overhead at 5:27, a black needle against the rose-gold sky. Ethan stood on the lighthouse's widow's walk, wind whipping his torn shirt, Glock raised. He counted 3 more contrails converging, meridians bored, desperate to cauterize the wound he'd opened. He keyed the sat phone. Rico. Talk to me. 4 inbound. Fast roping onto the North Beach in 90 seconds. I've got 2 fishing trawlers with .50 calories 3 miles out, but they'll be late. You're the wall, Shaw. Ethan looked down at the island, rocky, defensible, 1 road in. The clinic's floodlights cut white cones through the mist. Inside, Lila was under the knife, her genome being rewritten 1 base pair at a time. He checked his belt, 1 mag, the switchblade, the last EMP grenade, and a flare gun loaded with magnesium. Enough for a statement. The first rope hit the sand. 6 operators in matte black exosuits, railguns humming. They fanned out, thermal optics glowing red. Ethan fired the flare. It arced high, burst into blinding white. The operator's optics overloaded, screams of frustration. He used the chaos, sliding down the lighthouse's exterior drainpipe, boots sparking on stone. He landed behind a boulder, swapped the Glock for the switchblade. First kill was silent, blade under the chin, twist drop. He stripped the body, railgun comms unit, a retinal lens that projected holographic HUDs. He slapped the lens over his eye. The world bloomed in wireframe, heat signatures, structural weak points, even a countdown. L15 stabilization, 47%. Lila was halfway home. Second operator rounded the boulder. Ethan raised the railgun, silent, lethal. The round punched through ceramic plate like paper. 2 down. The comms crackled. A woman's voice, cultured, furious. Shaw. Stand down. The girl's edits are failing. She needs our facility or she dies in hours. Ethan smiled. She's got better doctors. He primed the EMP grenade, lobbed it over the ridge. The pulse washed the beach in blue light. Exosuits locked, operators frozen like statues. He walked the line, putting a round in each helmet. Mercy kills. But the jets were circling back. 1 peeled off, belly opening, drop pod. Bigger than the others. Reinforced. It hit the courtyard like a meteor, cratering the stone. The pod irised open. A figure stepped out, 7 feet tall, biomechanical armor fused to flesh, face obscured by a chrome mask. Meridian's endgame. A prototype super soldier grown from Lila's discarded embryos. Designation, L00. Its voice was a digital growl. Surrender the source. Ethan's HUD flashed red, threat level, critical. He backed toward the clinic doors. Over my dead body. Acceptable. L00 charged. The railgun's rounds sparked off its chest, absorbed, redirected. Ethan dove as a fist pulverized the space where he'd stood, stone exploding into dust. He rolled, came up firing at the joints. 1 knee buckled. L00 roared, swung a plasma blade. Ethan parried with the railgun barrel. It sheared in half. He stabbed the broken muzzle into the monster's thigh, discharged the capacitor. Electricity arced. L00 staggered. Ethan sprinted inside, slammed the clinic doors, engaged the magnetic locks. The German doctor met him in the corridor, face grim. She's crashing. We need 10 more minutes. You've got 5. He dragged a steel gurney across the entrance, welded it shut with a plasma cutter from the ore. Then he rigged the EMP's leftover core to the door, booby trap. L00 smashed through the wall instead, bricks raining. Ethan met it in the atrium, switchblade versus plasma. He fought dirty, eyes groin, the soft seam under the armpit. The blade snapped. L00 backhanded him through a window into the lab. He landed amid shattered glass, blood in his mouth. Monitors showed Lila on the table, chest open, ribs spread, a surgeon's hands deep in her future. L00 loomed in the doorway. End of line. Ethan laughed, tasting copper. You first. He triggered the booby trap remotely. The EMP core detonated. Not enough to kill, but enough to fry L00's neural link. The monster froze, systems rebooting. Ethan staggered to his feet, grabbed a bone saw from the tray. He climbed L00 like a tree, drove the saw into the neck seam. Sparks and black blood sprayed. The head came free with a wet pop. The body toppled, twitching. Ethan dropped beside it, panting. The HUD in the retinal lens flickered. L15 stabilization, 99%. He crawled to the oar. The German doctor looked up, sweat-soaked. We're done. She'll live. Normal lifespan. No edits. Ethan collapsed against the wall, tears cutting tracks through the grime on his face. Outside, the fishing trawlers opened up, 0.50 calories chewing the remaining jets from the sky. Rico's voice in his ear. Island secure. Press choppers inbound. You're a hero, Shaw. Ethan didn't feel heroic. He felt ancient. The doors burst open again, not Meridian. FBI. SWAT. A woman in a windbreaker stepped forward, badge gleaming. Ethan Shaw? You're under arrest for. He raised his hands, slow. Check the servers. Everything's there. Meridian's board, the bombs, the kids. Take it all. The agent hesitated, then nodded to her team. They fanned out, securing drives. Ethan was cuffed, led outside into blinding sunrise. Reporters shouted questions. He ignored them, eyes locked on the clinic doors. They opened. Lila walked out under her own power, hospital gown flapping, locket gleaming. She looked 12 going on 100, but her smile, God, her smile, was pure sunshine. The agents parted. Ethan dropped to his knees in the sand. Lila ran. The cuffs didn't matter. She crashed into him, arms around his neck, face buried in his shoulder. Daddy. One word. Everything. The agents uncuffed him without a word. The German doctor handed over a tablet. Live feed of Meridian's Zurich facility imploding, charges set by remote whistleblowers. The empire burned. Ethan held his daughter as the sun climbed, waves crashing applause. For the first time in 15 years, the hole in his chest was filled. The island smelled of salt and pine and new beginnings. 6 months later, the lighthouse had been rebuilt into a home. White clapboard, blue shutters, a wraparound porch where wind chimes sang in the breeze. The clinic was gone, replaced by a garden that spilled wildflowers over the rocks. Lake Michigan rolled in gentle waves, no longer red with dawn, just endless, forgiving blue. Ethan stood at the stove, flipping pancakes the way Consuela had taught him, golden, fluffy, edges crisp. The kitchen was all warm wood and sunlight, a far cry from the cold marble of the penthouse he'd sold to fund the Meridian Victims Trust. He wore an apron that read World's Okayest Dad, a gag gift from Lila that he secretly loved. She bounded in, barefoot, hair longer now, sun-bleached to the color of corn silk. A scar traced her sternum beneath the tank top, pale and thin, but she wore it like a badge. Smells like victory, she announced, stealing a pancake from the stack. Language, he teased, swatting her hand with the spatula. And use a plate. Lila rolled her eyes but obeyed, piling 3 pancakes high and drowning them in syrup. She'd gained 15 pounds. Healthy, strong, the kind of weight that came from laughter and second helpings. The locket still hung at her throat, but the chain was new, white gold, unbreakable. The screen door creaked. Dr. Patel stepped through, alive and well, a miracle of misdirection and Rico's Underground Railroad. She carried a basket of tomatoes from the garden. Morning, Shaws. Thought I'd bribe my way into breakfast. Ethan grinned. You saved my kid. You eat free for life. Patel ruffled Lila's hair. How's the heart? Beating like it's got plans, Lila said around a mouthful. They ate on the porch, feet on the railing, watching sailboats dot the horizon. The news droned softly from a radio inside. Meridian's last executive sentenced to life, the trust fund distributing billions to the orphaned experiments, a global ban on fetal gene editing. Justice slow but sure. Lila licked syrup from her thumb. School starts Monday. You nervous? Ethan snorted. You're the one starting 8th grade at a new school. Yeah, but I've got street cred. Blew up an evil empire before algebra. She grinned, then sobered. You think the other kids will, ask. About the scar? The news? The fact your dad's face was on every channel for a month. He shrugged. Let them. You tell them whatever you want. Truth, half-truth, or mind your own business. Your story now. She nodded, eyes on the water. I dreamed about Mom last night. Ethan's fork paused. Yeah. She was singing. Same song. Said to tell you the hole's filled. Lila bumped his shoulder. Think she's right. He looked at the garden, the lighthouse, the girl beside him, alive, whole, his. Yeah, she's right. Afternoon found them on the dock, fishing poles idle, feet dangling in the lake. Lila had a new hobby, wood carving. She whittled a tiny boat from driftwood, tongue between teeth in concentration. Ethan watched her hands, steady, sure. Ever think about what you want to be? Besides a badass? She didn't look up. Maybe a doctor. Like Evelyn. Or Patel. Fix kids who got broken by people like Meridian. He swallowed the lump in his throat. You'd be good at it. Or a writer. Tell the stories they tried to bury. She held up the finished boat, perfect, seaworthy. Or a sailor. Just go. Ethan pulled an envelope from his pocket, thick cream paper. Speaking of going. Lila took it, brow furrowed. Inside, 2 plane tickets to Zurich. And a deed. The clinic's old site, he explained. I bought it, turning it into a memorial. Gardens, a research wing for ethical genetics. They want us to cut the ribbon next month. Lila's eyes shone. We're going back? Only if you want. No pressure. But I thought closure. She launched into his arms, nearly toppling them both into the lake. Yes. 1,000 times yes. That night, they built a bonfire on the beach. Consuela had come up from Chicago, officially retired, unofficially family. She brought empanadas and stories of the old penthouse staff, now scattered to new lives funded by Ethan's severance packages. Rico arrived by boat, salt in his beard, a bottle of aged rum in hand. To the Shaws, he toasted, who burned the world down and built a better one. They drank. Lila had sparkling cider. The fire crackled, sparks spiraling into a star-drunk sky. Later, when the others slept, Ethan and Lila walked the shoreline. Moonlight silvered the waves. She carried the little wooden boat. Ready? She asked. He nodded. She set it on the water, gave it a gentle push. It bobbed, caught a current, sailed toward the horizon. For Mom, Lila whispered. For Evelyn. For all of them. Ethan wrapped an arm around her shoulders. They'd be proud. She leaned into him. We're okay, right? Really okay. He kissed the top of her head. We're better than okay. We're us. The boat vanished into the dark, a tiny brave light against the vast. Somewhere out there, it would reach another shore. Just like they had. Back at the house, the porch light glowed welcome. Ethan paused on the steps, looked at the life he'd built from ashes. Lila tugged his hand. Come on, Dad. Pancakes for breakfast. You promised chocolate chips. He laughed, the sound rich, real, healed. Race you. They ran barefoot, laughing, the screen door banging behind them. Inside, the kitchen waited, warm, bright theirs. The hole was filled. The story was whole. And the future? It stretched wide as the lake, deep as the sky, and theirs to sail. Hey family, did that land right in your feels? Drop a sunrise in the comments if the Shaws earned their sunrise, and tell me, what's your happy ending look like? Subscribe for more stories that break you open and put you back together stronger. This one's done, but the next begins the second you hit that button.